welcome to The Natural View. I'm Maggie Jacqua, Editor-in-Chief of Whole Foods Magazine, and I'm joined by Todd Paula of 24 Stories Marketing. Hi, Todd.
Hi, Maggie. How are you?
I'm good. We're here. We're having some nice weather. We're getting into spring, and we're here to talk about our May issue, which covered a lot of ground, including phytocannabinoids and Nutribeauty trends.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are exactly the topics I plan to bring up with you. I'm curious about both of those. In fact, I have three things that I want to point out or ask you about in this issue. So thought we'd keep it short and sweet and cover those, knowing there's always so much more in there. But there were three things that really caught my attention.
What'd you learn?
Yeah. So, okay, first of all, this isn't something I learned because it's been known for a long time, but I think it's worth just stopping and pointing out. I thought Heather Wehner's editorial editorial column in the issue was outstanding because it pointed out the importance of women-led and owned businesses, right? And Whole Foods Magazine has been that for quite a while now. You're a significant part of that, and I just think it's worth worth pausing for a minute and recognizing that, because we're all in this daily grind and pumping things out, and it's a fact, it's a reality, but it's worth celebrating for sure.
It is, and also small business, family business, and women-led. These are all good things that we want to celebrate. So thank you for recognizing.
Yeah, of course. It's indicative of so many little brands and businesses that start in the industry. Whole Foods started, as a small little, trade media magazine, and it's grown with the industry over the years. It just reflects a bigger story about so many people in this industry, and it's a good place to be. So
yeah, absolutely. It is this industry story, right? Just this growth and starting small and keep chugging.
Absolutely. I always love to hear, walking down the aisles of Expo or Supply Side West, and every once in a while Heather would be like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah, we were teenagers together at Expo West, walking around the aisles and stuff. It's just, those are the kinds of things that not many industries get to talk about. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
So there's that. That was the first thing I want to point out. Okay, the next big story I want to talk about the issue and ask you a little bit more about is the 2021 status of phytocannabinoids in the industry. You did a great article that really tackles some of those issues and gives perspective to a category that's grown so much over the last few years, had so much hype. Things have evolved with that, but there's also still a lot of questions. And so I thought it was a great overview. So let's get into that a little bit if we could.
Yeah, so this is our 7th annual update on the market, and looking at phytocannabinoids, so not just CBD, although obviously CBD is a big part of the story, but we looked at the state of it now, and one of our experts said we're in a cooling off period, which the trajectory was so huge and there was so much hype and so much buzz. So a cooling off period is not to be unexpected, but there's a lot plaguing the category still. We touch on the regulatory issues, which there's so much uncertainty. We touch on the situation with some brands making just crazy claims and how that hurt overall consumer perceptions.
Yeah.
And just to look at where things are going, and also the hot button issue of it's not just CBD. There's this whole family of phytocannabinoids, and how there needs to be innovation and science and recognition of that as well.
Let's talk a little bit about the regulatory side of it, because I think among consumers, there's probably, especially depending on what state you live in, everything seems to be like in Michigan, where I am, it's legal across the board, obviously on a statewide basis, CBD cannabis sales. And so people might not know the regulatory hurdles that are still trying to be overcome. Can you talk a little bit about what those are and why those exist and what it's doing to the market?
Yeah, I mean, there's still the need for, blanket, so states are taking actions, but there's still the need for blanket regulatory across the country with the FDA. And we get into that, and it's interesting in that, one of our experts talks about how they just have to constantly get updates because it's constantly changing. And, they have to talk to their compliance team and their legal team and then look at what the research updates are doing. So there's so much going on, and we're constantly reporting on it, but the key in the article is that the experts are really talking about the uncertainty and how that is impacting, product development and investment and consumer confidence as well.
Yeah, so it's one of those issues that affects every part of the supply chain and every part of the process to get that product to consumers. So what do you think, do you have any insight into when that confusion might be cleared up? That's
No.
a great question. I don't think anyone necessarily does, but there are certainly plans, I think, for when it does. One being more clinical studies, right? Being able to fund some of those studies once regulatory issues are more concretely put in place.
Right. Once you have the confidence, then there can be more investment made. And, companies are doing the research now, but that will open it up more. Another thing that I think is really interesting that one of our experts mentioned in the article is that once the regulatory situation is clear, you will see bigger brands that have been more cautious, that haven't wanted to get into, they say the Wild West situation. You'll see them start to enter, and then the impact that could have on smaller brands. And one of the things that multiple people stressed in the article is really the need for innovation. So quality and innovation, and to make sure that you have the best products out there with claims that are backed and make sense, so people know what they're getting and build that trust.
Yeah, which is really reflective of the bigger industry as a whole. That's the product life cycle of so many ingredients. It's just this one has had such a focus on it from its infancy that you can really see some of those marketplace steps in focus here. But really, that's what drives innovation, is some of that investment by bigger brands as they're able to do so and feel safe to do so. So, okay, we'll see. We'll stay tuned as far as that goes and see how it develops. So the third thing I wanted to bring up was, let's talk a little bit about Nutribeauty. And before we do, let me just tell you, I know nothing about it. My self-care routine through my 20s, 30s was to age like an old cowboy, end up with a face that probably looked like a worn baseball mitt. And then about 40, so like 8 years ago, I decided, oh, maybe that's not the wisest thing. Maybe I should start using face lotion or something. And so now I'm behind the eight ball, know nothing about it. So educate me. Tell me a little bit about some of these trends in Nutribeauty and what we're seeing emerge in the marketplace.
Okay, yeah. So no, Nutribeauty is so many people in exactly the same boat as you. And one of the interesting things, I think we talked about this at our Nutribeauty Mastering the Market Naturally Informed event, and that's all available on demand, so you can get a deep dive into this market. But how we're on Zoom all the time doing this, we see ourselves, right? It's not like you're in a face-to-face conversation, you're actively like, there I am. So we're noticing these things more, and so it's more top of mind, and plus we have the time. So the Nutribeauty market is definitely growing. Lots of research on helpful ingredients, collagen being one of the fast growing leaders in the category. So a lot of science there. We talk about that in the article. And, we talk really about the whole holistic thing. I mean, it's your microbiome involved, and also information on a liver detox and how that can benefit. So more recognition of it's not just like put a cream here, but the whole inside outside beauty. And then if you look good, you feel good, you feel good, you look good. So people are fortunately investing more in themselves for both how they look and how they feel. So this is a huge opportunity category.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you do talk about it in a holistic way, and bring up the microbiome. If you think about, gut microbiome, brain health, all of that, all of these interconnected systems, and to hear that skin and things that you typically think of when you think of the beauty space, it's all connected as far as wellness and overall health. And I thought you guys did a great job of pointing that out. So, and then related to that, you have a follow-up article that talks about health and beauty aids, and you talk about a couple of trends that you're seeing in 2021. You want to mention a few of those?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is so interesting, but one of the news things that came out was that Unilever was talking about a survey that they did and how the word normal, like, normal skin, normal hair,
Yeah.
how this isn't resonating with people, and it actually, can have negative implications. And so getting away from this sense of normal and really taking in the whole, thinking about everybody, in the category. So there's just this movement in communication and being more inclusive in the way that you're marketing and formulating everything. So Haba is, getting its own facelift. It's getting a much needed beauty update.
About time, right? I mean, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's so interesting, just to think of that word that's like, it's everywhere in beauty products. So
Yeah.
out with it, right? And then we talked about the three trends, and let me just pull these up. So we have the desire for truly healthy formulations, so clean beauty.
Yeah.
And people are really more aware than ever of that. What you put on your skin, on your hair, like, this is soaking into your body. This is, if you put it on you, you put it in you. And we don't want, these crazy, weird chemicals that, we want clean beauty products that are, again, supporting your whole health holistically as well, because they're getting in you.
Yeah. And glad to see this trend or this awareness on the consumer part coming to the health and beauty space, right? I mean, it's been a food trend for so long, whereas in the 70s and 80s, we were probably proud of all the ingredients that were in something in a canned meal, and now we're kind of coming around and looking at labels elsewhere, but it makes complete sense. It's going on your body, it's going in your body. And so I love that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. So clean beauty being a top trend. And this is another, I guess, COVID fueled change too, but more focus on your skin health and less on like mascara face. So
yes, I love the term.
That was great. So, in our Zoom world, and we're stressed, but again, it comes back to the Nutribeauty too, really taking care of yourself holistically and not just putting on a bunch of makeup and like plastering over what's really going on. Like, we're done with that. Plus, I mean, we're not really going anywhere anyway, or it's getting better. I'm still not going anywhere, but
it's getting better. But nonetheless, if there's a takeaway here, as far as Nutribeauty goes, it's be comfortable with yourself and work on your wellness inside out. It's not about, like you said, making quick cover-ups. I'm going to use the mascara face term from now to perpetuity, because I think it's just so indicative of, like, that's not covering up on the outside isn't really what it's about. It's about trying to be healthy overall.
Right. And like, makeup is great in helping you feel more confident and feel beautiful. And so, makeup has a place, but it's really, you want to be taking care of yourself too. So it's more of your bonus.
Yeah. That makes
sense. Good. And then something that, is right up your alley is, community care instead of personal care. So the idea of telling the story of what your brand is really doing, not paying lip service to things, but communicating the core of your brand. And people want brands that are giving back, that are taking care of their communities and, fostering just a greater good. And so that's where you have to tell your story and make sure that consumers know what you're all about. Yeah.
I think that's so important, because it gets back to the idea of being genuine. And people at the end of the day just want to, especially in our industry and people who are shopping in health food stores, there's such a need and a want to be genuine and authentic. They don't want to be tricked. They don't want to be lied to with a quick fix. And so I love that brands are hearing this and understanding that's what consumers are wanting. So, okay, you've convinced me. I'm going to pay more attention, beauty from the inside out, take better care of myself. Thank you.
You're welcome. And see, that's a good message too. Like, this is not just all about women, right? We cover this in the Naturally Informed. There's a session on trends and opportunities, and some of the data about, making sure you're reaching the male market as well, because we all want to look good and feel good. So
yeah, there's a huge confidence to that, right? And like you said earlier, it gives you confidence, no matter what aspect you're addressing from a wellness standpoint. So everyone needs that.
We do.
All right. Well, hey,
So
thanks.
that's that. Yeah, and lots more on the issue. So check that out.
Yeah, will do. Thanks, Maggie. Appreciate you catching up, and we'll see you in June to talk about the June issue.
All right, sounds good. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Bye.